This podcast is sponsored by the Fireman Moving Company. The Fireman Moving Company is the official moving company of WKU Athletics. Not only can they be trusted to move all the coaches in and out of Western, but they can move you anywhere nationwide. The Fireman Moving Company is owned and operated by firemen and is founded by WKU alumni. If you are looking to move sometime soon, give them a call at 270-791-1755 and get yourself a free quote. Welcome to Topper Talk, your number one Western Kentucky athletics podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Moffitt, and I'm joined by co-host Tyler Bailey. Hilltopper Nation, whether it's happening on the hill or on the road, grab those red towels, stand up and cheer, because it's up next on Topper Talk. All right, welcome back, and thank you for downloading and listening to another episode of the Topper Talk podcast. We are your number one source for WKU sports news and information, and we are the only year-round WKU podcast and the only WKU podcast that covers every single sport and every single athlete at Western Kentucky University. We are also a proud member of the College Huddle podcast community. Make sure you're following us on all of our various social media platforms. We've got Instagram, TikTok, and I always recommend our Twitter feed, which is going to keep you with the most up-to-date information as it comes across the timeline. We make sure we share that out for the masses to be aware of anything that's relevant with WKU athletics, news, or information. And I've got Tyler here with me, man. We've got a game preview to dive into, man. You ready to get into it?
Yeah, it should be a good week of basketball coming up for the Topper. So let's jump on in.
But before we dive into the homestand game preview, nice to be back at Ditto Arena. We've got to get caught up with our Red Towel wrap-up, which catches us up with all the news and information we've missed since we last recorded. So, Tyler, hit us with that Red Towel wrap-up.
All right, so it's a pretty good one. We got WKU basketball. Of course, they lost to New Mexico State 80-64, and they beat UTEP 68-56.
Yeah, talking about the basketball team, and that was two road games. That road trip out west is always one of the tougher ones. And in this conference, winning on the road is hard. As we speak and as we record right now, Conference USA actually has the toughest home advantage of any conference in America. I think there's only been 4 home teams that have lost so far in this conference season, and most of the teams are 5 or 6 games into the season now. So, been a lot of games played. A quarter of the way through the conference season, and home teams are holding serve. But it was nice to go on the road and get a split. That New Mexico State game, it just started out ugly. We got behind the 8 ball big early, trying to make a push and come back late in the game. Then there was a Plona technical. He got teed up, got a little excited about some reffing or some calls that he didn't agree with, got teed up, and New Mexico State was able to pull away and get a convincing victory there, which they were undefeated at home coming into that game, and I'm pretty sure they ended. I can't remember if they beat Middle. I think Middle might have beat them on Saturday, so they did have their first loss on Saturday, if I recall correctly. But then on Saturday, we had UTEP down in El Paso for hopefully the last time we'll ever play UTEP in basketball, or at least have to go over to UTEP. If we play them in Huntsville at the conference tournament, that won't be so bad. But UTEP is leaving to the Mountain West, and we got to usher them out of Conference USA with a pretty convincing 68-56 win for us. Honestly, it was a pretty close game throughout the game. But the last 5 minutes of the game, we just clamped down and went on a scoring spree, and our defense buckled down and held them and slowed them down and pulled away for a nice victory. We got the road split. That's what you kind of have to do in conference. You've got to split those road games and try to win all your games at home. So that's why this next homestand, 3 in a row at home, is going to be very pivotal. Tyler, what were your thoughts on those 2 road games?
Yeah, I kind of got to agree with Coach at the ref, and I think on both road games, I think New Mexico State, the refs were a little bit worse. But I mean, when you just dig yourself a hole, none of the shots was falling, and we only scored 28 points the first half. Of course, when you give up 46 points to New Mexico State, you're really not helping your cause. Free throw percentage, I think in the first half was really terrible. And I don't know if Moore was feeling okay, but he wasn't playing his normal game. I think he was held probably to a season low in points, if I had to just guess at that. But um, I mean, we won the turnover battle. We only had 5 to 11 for New Mexico State. We lost a rebounding battle. 3-point percentage, 5 of 22. We were shooting 23%. Another, you know, game that we have done that. Field goal, we were shooting 31%. New Mexico State was shooting 39%, and their 3-point percentage was 43%. So, if a team is lighting you up from behind the arc like that, I mean, it's going to be a long night. We did make a push there in the second half to try to come back, and I felt like we were so close, but we just couldn't get over that hump. But we was able to get that behind us, and going to UTEP, it was a good victory. I think what was the score of that? 60. Shoot, uh, 68-56. We I think we had to out rebound them. Rebounding was 44-37. Turnovers, we did give up 10 turnovers. UTEP gave up 15. Free throw percentage was even worse. So we shot 59% from the charity stripe, 13-22. They shot 77%. 3-point percentage, another 26 percent from behind the arc, and then 39%. Now, granted, UTEP did shoot 23% from behind the arc and 32% from the field. So, I mean, we were kind of evenly matched there, but it was still good to get out that win. Yes, it wasn't pretty, and it wasn't something you was going to write home to your mama about, but at least we did escape El Paso with that win. And now the Lady Toppers, they lost to New Mexico State 70-67 and beat UTEP 68-59.
Yeah, so the Lady Toppers were back at home in Ditto Arena for both of those games, playing the same teams that we were playing on the road. And unfortunately, they dropped that home game to New Mexico State. They were leading most of that game at halftime. They were leading after the third quarter, but just gave it up late in the fourth quarter. Took an unfortunate loss there. But then, good thing they were able to turn right back around on Saturday and play UTEP and get a pretty convincing victory. Actually, pretty close final score to the men's final score. Just noticed that. But, the women have had a rough start to the season, but nice to see them at least split, a home stand a couple of games. Now that we're back at home, they'll be out on the road. So hopefully they can continue to figure that out and hopefully start to stack some more W's, even though, same in the ladies side of the conference, it's just as hard to get those wins on the road. So let's go ladies and keep stacking those wins.
Maverick McIver accepted an invitation to participate in the American Bowl.
Yeah, really nice and really big opportunity for Maverick to display his skills and his arm talent in front of a lot of NFL and pro scouts, whether that end up being in the UFL or the Indoor Football League, or even just getting a camp invite. Being a practice squad guy in the NFL. Yeah, I don't know if he's going to get drafted, even though during the bowl game there was a lot of talk, or even the championship game and the bowl game, they were talking about him being a potential draft commodity. I don't know if I see that. I would love for him to be drafted. Prove me wrong, Maverick. But I'm not sure how healthy Maverick was all season. I hope he's healthy now. I hope he gets to go show out in the American Bowl that's later this month. The pro day should be in March, that Western holds here on campus. And then obviously the NFL combine will be before the NFL draft. So big opportunity for Maverick. All it takes is one team to be impressed by him, and take a chance on him. So big opportunity for Maverick coming up at the American Bowl.
Austin Reed, he's going to be back down in Texas. He was drafted to the UFL Dallas Renegades.
Yeah, so they kind of play a spring season. So as the NFL season has ended, and Austin has been on the Chicago Bears for the last couple of years, kind of bouncing around from their practice squad to being a third quarterback on their roster. I don't know if this is him calling it done with the NFL dream, I don't know. I have no idea. I guess we'll have to see when camp comes back next year. But Austin's been in the league for a few years now, but now pivoting over to the UFL with the Dallas Renegades. So best of luck to him there. I obviously hope he gets a shot to be a starter and make a name for himself there, because we know he's got an arm. We know he has talent. He's just been behind some good quarterbacks there in Chicago.
Austin Reed, Bailey Zappi signed a futures deal with the New York Jets.
Yeah, so Bailey, bouncing around again. Went from the Patriots to the Chiefs to the Browns, and now going to the Jets. I'm not sure that I like the fit with the franchise, but I do like that he's getting another opportunity. At this point in the league, he is a veteran. He's been around for 4 full seasons, going into his fifth. So who knows? The Jets quarterback situation was pretty rough this last year with Justin Fields. Who knows? Maybe he'll get a chance to be QB1. So best of luck to Bailey.
Well, I also know the Steelers probably going to be in the market for a new QB. Devin Key, he was named to the AP Special Teams First Team All Pro.
Yeah, that's a really big and huge accomplishment for Devin Key, who entered the NFL. I mean, it's been 5, 6 years since Devin, finished his career here on the Hill as, tied as the all-time leading tackler here at Western. But got his chance, was an undrafted free agent, has been with the Broncos now for several seasons, and has really started to make his mark on special teams. He actually led the league in special teams tackles, and got honor and recognition for that by being named an AP All-Pro first teamer for special teams. So big time congratulations to Devin. You definitely have made WKU proud.
Some movement in the football department. Zach Cram was promoted to general manager and director of player personnel, replacing Jeray Thurman.
Yeah, this is one just kind of makes sense. He had been with the recruiting and scouting department for several years, had been a familiar name and face that I've followed on social media for several years. And obviously, losing Jure to UNT is less than ideal, but I do like to see someone internally that's getting that promotion and that opportunity to step up, kind of already knows, our program, our wants, our needs, kind of guys and players that we look for. So, big congratulations to Zach on that promotion.
So there has been a crap ton of movement in the transfer portal, going out and coming in. So there's been so much that we will have a full episode recapping all that up to date movement next week.
Yeah, I think if we try to go over every single commitment that we've had over the last 7 to 10 days, since we last recorded, and as well as all the guys that we've had from last year's roster that have committed to elsewhere, I mean, it would be another 15-minute segment of the wrap up. So, I think when the portal closes this coming Friday, we'll do it a lot more justice if we just have a focused episode and we can talk about everybody at that point that's left. School will be starting, classes will be starting for all the new students coming or going. We'll talk about everyone that's left, where they're going, and then we'll talk about all the guys that we have committed coming to Western to fill those roster spots that have been vacated. And that's going to be a lot of information. I like a lot of the pieces that we've added so far, and there's definitely going to be more coming. So look forward to that next week.
2026 volleyball signee Eliza McKnight was named Tennessee Gatorade Player of the Year.
Yeah, Def, Taxes, and Travis Hudson just reloading because, man, his recruiting, I don't want to say it's gotten easier because the program is getting so much recognition and winning so much, but I think you see the fruits of his sustained success starting to pay off in some of these higher level recruits that we've seen over the last few years. And this one's no different. This is a 6'1" outside hitter, middle hitter. Obviously pretty good if she was named the Tennessee Gatorade Player of the Year. So big time congratulations to Eliza.
Callie Bauer, she was named to the CSC Academic All-American.
Yeah, Callie getting it done, not only on the court, but in the classroom. So you love to hear that. We got to show some recognition for the academic side of things as well. So congratulations to Callie being named an academic All-American.
We got some track and field news for you. Sam Crenshaw broke his own school record with a vault of 5.15 meters. His new mark is also top 25 in the NCAA this season.
Yeah, I feel like every time that our track and field team has a meet, we're having a discussion about Sam Crenshaw breaking his own record. He's been doing that since he was a freshman last year. Now his sophomore year, just keeping that going and rewriting the record book. So big congratulations to Sam. Hard work paying off, and top 25 in the NCAA, a guy that could, potentially go to regionals or maybe nationals at the end of this indoor season. So big congrats to Sam.
And that concludes this week's episode of Red Towel Wrap Up. Moff, I'm going to give it back to you, man.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff as always. And really looking forward to talking that portal episode next week, man. We've got a lot of players, a lot of guys I'm excited about, and I can't wait to see on the field in a Hilltopper uniform. But as always, good wrap up. A lot of stuff has gone on since we recorded last Monday. But now we've got to jump into our game preview, which is brought to you by Roof Girl. And if you have a leaky roof, shingles detached, faded, or just plain blah, don't call any roofing company. Call Paula with Roof Girl. They are locally owned and operated with over 6 years of experience, and she is a proud WKU alumna. She will work with your insurance company. Give Roof Girl a call today at 270-392-4768 to set up a free inspection and quote. See her work by following Roof Girl on Facebook and Instagram. And remember, you're not just calling any roofing company, you're calling Paula, a person who cares for your roof. And a good roof is a roof you can forget about. So call or text Roof Girl today to get started. And now we jump into the Missouri State and Kennesaw State preview, as those games are coming up this Wednesday and Saturday. WKU enters this week homestand with a record of 10-6 overall, and we are also 3-2 in Conference USA play. After splitting the road trip to New Mexico State and UTEP, like we talked about earlier in the wrap up. WKU welcomes Missouri State into Diddle on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. And then we host Kennesaw State on Saturday at 2 p.m. So, Tyler, still early into the conference season, sitting at 3-2, coming off a road split. How are you feeling about the Hilltoppers and the team heading into this homestand with Missouri State and Kennesaw State?
Well, I do like that we're playing at home. We fought two good games on the road, and as you mentioned earlier, and as other people mentioned, it's always hard to win on the road. So now that we're playing at home, I like that. Historical is kind of on our side of the record. You know, most state ain't as far as I'm aware of ain't never played in Diddle, so it's going to be interesting to see how they like it on the road down here. I hope that the fans show up and show out and get loud. Kennesaw State, they're playing pretty good high offense basketball, so really our defense is going to have to come both of these days because Missouri State is above us in the standings right now. So I am comfortable with the team. I feel like they got back into the lab whenever they got back from UTEP after taking probably a day or two off. So I'm just excited to see what's going to be out there on the court.
Yeah, it should be a couple good games. Like you said, I'm glad we're at home because I feel pretty good about our team and how we play at Diddle. But talking about Missouri State, they do enter this game with also having a record of 10-6, just like we do, including being 4-1 in Conference USA play. Last week, they fell to Kennesaw State in their midweek game, and then they defeated FIU on Saturday. Missouri State is led by head coach Quenzo Martin, who is in his second season and has an overall record of 19-29 so far through 2 seasons. Last season, Missouri State finished 9-23, including 2-18 in the Missouri Valley, and they finished last in the conference. So they've turned things around a little bit this year. These two teams last met in 2017 and 2018, with Missouri State winning both of those games. This season, Missouri State was picked to finish 12th in the preseason coaches poll, and currently Missouri State is 1-4 on the road, which really shouldn't be a surprise. I think that's kind of the running theme of Conference USA is, whoever can figure out how to win on the road is going to be the team that's a contender for the title. And right now, it's really only Liberty that's winning games on the road. So Missouri State 1-4 on the road, while WKU is 7-1 at home. And man, I'm putting a big asterisk by that one because that Tulsa loss was whatever. I'm calling that a that foul on that moving screen all day. The ESPN matchup predictor gives WKU a 77.1% chance of victory. And I don't have it on here, but the betting line opened with WKU as a 6.5 point favorite on the DraftKings. If you're into the gambling, betting on the money line spread, whatever is your poison there. Seems like both of those are kind of in agreement that Western Kentucky should be a pretty heavy favorite for this matchup with Missouri State. Tyler, what are your thoughts on Missouri State before we jump into the players to know?
Well, I mean, that is kind of a big turnaround from what they did like last season, where you said they finished what 2-18, 9-23. Um, the Missouri Valley Conference, I believe that is a tough conference. I don't think it's comparable though to Conference USA. So to see what that coach has done in a year, just moving up to a different conference, it is pretty incredible to see. Overall, though, man, I mean, stat wise, I'm sure we'll get into it here in just a little bit on their team, but I feel like we should easily be able to out rebound these guys points per game. I feel like we should be we should score. We should hold them below their average, and we should definitely score above um our what they're allowing. So I think this is going to be a good game. I don't think there's much of a when we talk about in football. We had their head coach played here. You got their AD. It used to be our president's son. So I don't know if there's any relation in basketball. It'd be kind of cool if it was, but I feel like this is going to be a dub for the home team.
Yeah, it should be a good game. And I think when I started jumping into their players to know and looking at their stat leaders, I kind of had deja vu to last week when we were talking about the Hilltoppers and seeing that Tegan Moore was our leading scorer, rebounder, and assist guy at the time. He's been overtaken by Armello Boone in rebounds. But if you look at the Missouri State side of things, if you're again watching on video on the YouTube version, we do have these stats in this graphic pulled up on the screen. So if you're just on audio only, definitely slide over to the YouTube channel. Check out this episode. It's going to be a lot more informative when you can see the graphics that we are talking about. The Missouri State leading scorer, and he's also their leading rebounder and their leading assist man, is the same player as Keith Pallick III. He is number 11 on the roster. He's a 6'9" senior forward. He's averaging 17.5 points per game. He shoots 42.1% from the field, but only 24% from three. And when you look at his home and away averages, it's even worse on the road. He's only shooting like 16% from three on the road. So this is a guy that's going to kill you from inside the arc, maybe getting to the free throw line. And he's doing all that in 31.5 minutes per game that he's playing. He also averages 7.1 rebounds per game to lead the team again, and then 3.5 assists per game. So, I guess he kind of reminds me of a Tegan Moore, just a guy that they kind of depend on to do a little bit of everything. And then jumping into the team statistics, just looking side by side, how Missouri State compares to WKU as far as points scored. WKU is scoring more points per game. Points allowed, WKU is allowing about 5 more points per game, 75 to 71, basically, for Missouri State. Field goal percentage, Missouri State does shoot a better percentage. Rebounding, we've got a pretty solid margin and advantage there, +6. Even with the loss of Bryant Celebonge, we have turned out to be a really good and solid defense, or good just rebounding team overall, defensively and offensively, which was a concern earlier this season, and especially when Silabonge went down versus Marshall. And then looking at assists and blocks, those numbers are, mainly about even, within one of each other. And then kind of same on steals. We average about one more steal per game than Missouri State. And, I think when I look at Missouri State and I look at their overall record, they're 4-1 right now in Conference USA play. But man, they played a couple of the worst teams in the league. They played Delaware, they played UTEP that we just played. I think they did play New Mexico State and they played Jacksonville State. So they do have a tough road win as well. But I think part of it and their record, and I'm not going to say they're paper tigers. I'm not going to say it's going to be an easy victory, but I think some of their turnaround and their sudden, winning 4 of their last 5 games, I think a lot of it comes down to just how their schedule shaped up. They played 3 of their first 5 games are at home, and they're winning most of those games, and they still won on the road. Whereas we played 3 of our first 5 games on the road. We split the roadie, haven't lost one at home in conference yet. So I expect to win. I think this should be a good game, but Missouri State doesn't worry me at all, at least on paper. I guess we'll find out in Diddle tomorrow night. But Tyler, how are you feeling about Missouri State and how we stack up with statistics?
So I feel I'm still comfortable about the way we stack up against them. I feel like we're probably going to be more experienced on it. We are the home team. I feel like if we push the tempo and get them playing quicker, I feel like we could easily force them to mess up. I'm not sure how many turnovers I can tell you they have 11.4 turnovers per game. So I feel like if you do speed them up, get them a little playing hot potato with the ball, that they will throw it away, and Armello Boone or somebody can come in with a steal. Now, you was talking about the Keith Pallick. Well, their leading 3-point shooter, his name is Kobe Williams. He shot 106 3-pointers on the season. He's only hit 40 of them. But if you look at his splits at home, he's shooting his 3-point percentage is 37.8. Away, he only drops down to 37.5%. So if there's someone to keep an eye on, and hopefully one that don't get hot, it's going to be the 6'4", 195-pound junior Kobe Williams. If his number is 0, so I'm sure coach and the staff is going to have him on lockdown, or at least have our toughest defender. So probably LJ on him. But yeah, I mean, I just feel comfortable playing this team. You're right; they have been playing some soft teams, so I feel like that's going to play into our advantage as well.
Yeah, and then looking forward to our Saturday matchup, we have a quick turnaround. Thankfully, we're at home; we're not traveling. So, after that Wednesday night game, we've got a quick turnaround Saturday. I think the game's at 2 p.m. if I'm not mistaken. I know I had it above in the notes, but I didn't write it down here. But we play Kennesaw State. They enter the week with a record of also 10-6, just like Missouri State and ourselves, including being 2-3 in Conference USA games. And they had started 0-3, but they won both of their games last week over Missouri State and Jacksonville State. Kennesaw State is led by head coach Antoine Petaway. He is in his 3rd season with an overall coaching record of 44 wins and 36 losses. Last season, Kennesaw State finished 4th in Conference USA. And when the two teams played, we split the games 1-1, with the home team winning both of those games. And this season, Kennesaw State was picked to finish 2nd in Conference USA by the coaches poll. Kennesaw State is currently 2-3 on the road, so again, losing record on the road, while WKU is entering these two games at 7-1. And the ESPN matchup predictor gives WKU a 56.6% chance of victory. So a little bit more in favor of being a coin flip, but still a little heavy to our side. Should be a good game. They do have the preseason conference play of the year in Simeon Cottle. They did lose a really good true freshman last year in Adrian Woolley, who transferred out and went to Louisville, but still bring back a lot of production, especially in Cottle. So, Tyler, what are your thoughts on Kennesaw State before we jump into their players to know?
I mean, I honestly think this team is going to match up offensively, getting up and down the court pretty well with us. They're averaging a lot of points per game. They're averaging over 90 in the non-conference. So, that numbers went down just a little bit, but I feel like as Simeon Cottle goes, so does Kennesaw State go, because honestly, he is their entire offense. Once you get past him, it really drops down. But I think this one defense is going to be a premium in this game.
I say, is it going to be defense is optional in this game? Are we going to have that type of a game? I don't know. We'll have to find out. But looking at the players to know, the leading scorer, like both of us had mentioned, is Simeon Cottle. He is number 5 on the roster. He is a 6'2", 175-pound senior guard. He's averaging 20.2 points per game. He's shooting 41.9% from the field and 38.5% from three, and he's playing just short of 30 minutes per game. So he is a high usage, high volume, and very efficient scorer. Even last year, I recall him last year having a really good game against us down there at Kennesaw State. So really looking forward, and that was, he basically was the second banana last year. This year, he's the lead guy, and they're going to lean on him, and he's going to get his shots. Hopefully, like you said, LJ or whoever's on him, hopefully we're playing good defense, because if you leave him open, he is going to knock it down. And then looking at Kennesaw State's leading rebounder, it is Franquan Sherman. He is number 6. He's a 6'7", 220-pound junior forward. He's averaging 7.9 rebounds per game to go along with 8.6 points per game that he's also scoring. And then their leading passer, I always find this interesting when the leading scorer is also the leading assist guy. That means they're responsible for a whole lot of points, whether assisting or putting the ball in the basket themselves. But Simeon Cottle is averaging 3.8 assists per game. Really, really solid number, especially coming from their leading scorer for the game. And then pulling up the team stats to see how we compare side to side. Like you said, this is a team that can score a lot of points. We've heard it talked about on broadcast. Western's been in this 81 to 83 point per game average, and we're the 4th or 5th leading scoring team in Conference USA. There are several teams that score a lot of points, and I don't know where Kennesaw ranks in points per game, but I guarantee it's near 1 or 2 in Conference USA, as they're at 88.9 points per game, whereas Western is at 81 points per game. Now, they're also allowing a lot of points. When you play that kind of pace, a lot of extra possessions, extra shots, they're giving up 76.4. We're giving up 75.7. Field goal percentage, they do shoot better than us. They're at 45%. We're at 41. Rebounds, they're a little bit better than us, 45.1 to 42.5. So that will be, in my opinion, a big factor in this game. Not foreshadowing at all. Assist-wise, again, they're a little bit heavier than us, 15.1 to 13.3. And then blocks, they average 2 more per game. They're at 5 plus per game. We're at 3. And then steals, we're slightly ahead. We have 8.5 per game. They have 7.8 points per game. So just like the ESPN matchup predictor said, I think the fact that we're playing at home, and obviously we don't know the betting spread on this game, but I would bet it's not more than 2.5, maybe 3.5 at most in our favor when this spread comes out. It may be even less than that, maybe 1.5. But this is going to be a coin flip tough game, and if we let Simeon Cottle get hot or their other shooters get hot, man, they can score points in bunches. I think they have shown that. They've proven that, with their points per game, and they've just done it consistently this season. Tyler, what are your thoughts on Kennesaw State and how we match up?
I think we're so much like them that I don't like them. You're talking about where they rank in Conference USA. They are first with 88.9 points a game, and they're 21st in the NCAA. Rebounding per game with their 45.1, that's 4th in the NCAA. So, we're definitely going to have to get our butts in someone. Every time a shot goes up, get your butt in someone, move them out of the lane, get them back. Kind of crash the board to keep what's his name? Franquan Sherman, off the glass, keep Simeon Cottle off the glass. The one thing I do like though is he's leading them in assists, but he's also leading them in turnovers with 2.6 a game. So if we can LJ or someone, or if Murdix is feeling, he's back, thank goodness. If he's feeling up to it, to really get in Simeon Caldwell's head, maybe get up in his jersey a little bit, force him to turn the ball over. That's only going to be to our benefit. But I mean, it's just crazy looking at the points. I think we're fourth in Conference USA, and with them being first. I feel like this is going to be a game where the toughest defense is definitely going to stand. I think we're going to win the home game here. I feel like it could be a split like it was last year whenever we go back down there, but we'll talk about that later. But hopefully everyone's feeling good, everyone's healthy, and everyone's ready to play on Saturday, because I think that Kennesaw State game is going to be one heck of a rough game.
I think one matchup that could be advantageous for us, somebody we could put on Simeon Cottle and cause him some problems. And I just thought of it while you were talking about Murdix. Armello Boone, with his speed, his length, his athleticism. I mean, he's tenacious on D as it is. If he can guard Simeon from end to end without fouling, um, I think that could be a tough matchup, and it could be a matchup to see. I don't know. It'll be either LJ or Armello would be my first guess on who we put on him. But again, that's going to be a matchup that we have to see. Simeon is going to get his. He's a scorer. He's been that for all 2 years that we've been aware of him when we played him last year, and coming into this year, he's probably one of the leading scorers in Conference USA, if not the leading scorer. So he's going to get his buckets, but we just have to limit him and try to make him as inefficient as possible, make him take some tough shots and force those up, and make him uncomfortable. Simple as that. So now we get to jump into our keys to the victory for both of these games. And like we've been doing in basketball season, we're just going to lump the keys to victory to both the Missouri State and the Kennesaw State games into the same package of what we need to do to get these wins. So Tyler, what's your first key to victory for this homestand?
Do not fall in love with the three. I know we have been, the last few games have been shooting in 20%, especially on the road. At least we're playing at home now, so it should be up a little bit. But if the threes ain't falling, drive inside and try to get an easier shot, a mid-range shot. Get to the lane and get fouled and get an and one, or at least shoot free throws out of it. But the team's fallen, I feel like, too much in love with the threes early on, and then whenever they stop missing, we just keep jacking them up. So that's going to be my first keys. Don't fall in love with the threes early on.
Well, I'm in the same frame of thought, but I'm not saying don't fall in love with the three. I just want to say take good shots. Good ball movement, in the flow of the offense, not forcing things. And I think for the most part we've done that this season, but you're right. When we're very hot or cold with the 3-point shooting, and sometimes we don't adapt or adjust or pivot. And that just kind of comes along with the offense that we play. But man, hopefully the home cooking, the home crowd, the home backdrop, being in Ditto Arena, sleeping in their own bed, hopefully all those factors help play into us shooting better at home. Last time we saw them at home, Louisiana Tech, we saw a first half where we hit 9 of 18. We saw a second half where we made 3 of 18. Obviously, we'd prefer that first half version of that. But even, if we're not 50% in the first half, if we're shooting 35 plus 40% and can spread that out among both halves, easier said than done, obviously. But we just have to keep taking good shots and not forcing shots where we're trying, if we fall behind and we're trying to make up, a 5, 6, 7, 8 point deficit. You can't do that in one shot. You got to take small bites and get back. Or, like you said, if we're making them and we get a big lead, we just have to keep playing our offense. And that we have turned into a team that shoots a lot of threes. But we also have a couple guys, especially Teagan, Grant Newell, Hackman, Armello. We've seen these guys that can get to the bucket, get in the paint, and force the action, force the defense to collapse down, draw some fouls, get to the free throw line. I just want to see him take good shots, not bad shots. And we've heard Coach Plona talking about him taking tough twos in his presser. Obviously, we'd rather easy twos or easy threes, but just taking good shot selections is my first key to victory. Tyler, what's your second key to victory?
Force the other players on the other teams to beat you. Don't let their star players. You got Keith Pallick. He's averaging 17.5 points a game. You drop down to Kobe Williams and Michael Osei Bonsu. Kobe's giving you 14.1 and Michael's giving you 12.8. That's on Missouri State. You look over at Kennesaw State, it's even more drastic. Cottle's giving you 20.2. Braden Lou's giving you 11. It drops off seriously here, 11.2, and then Ramon Seals is giving you 10.5. Those are your three leading scorers for Kennesaw. So if you can force Cottle to pass the ball more, what you talking about Armello Boone, exactly correct. He is his length, his athleticism. I think the only problem is going to be defending that long without the refs just giving Cottle a call, because I'm sure Cottle's going to flop or fake or do that little pull up where they throw an arm up, going for a Grammy, but or an Oscar, but definitely try to make the other players beat you in these games.
I think my second key to victory it's probably more of a Kennesaw State key to victory, because you talked about how strong they are rebounding, both nationally and in conference. But I think we really have to assert ourselves and apply ourselves to the effort of team rebounding. Like you said, when a shot goes up, whether it's on the offensive end or the defensive end, we've seen that we can crash the boards well. I mean, at Jacksonville State, it was 20-5 offensive rebounds in our favor. And that really kept us in that game and kept it from being a 20-plus point blowout at the final score. So I think we really have to put an intense effort and focus on our rebounding. We've always said on this show that is an effort stat. It doesn't matter how big you are. That's just getting in position, knowing angles, knowing where the shot's coming from and where it could possibly go, if it's long, short, whatever, and just putting yourself in that position, putting your body on somebody and getting the ball. You want it more than them, so go get the rebound. And I think rebounding, especially on the offensive end, could be a big factor for both of these games. So looking forward to that. And then Tyler, what's your third key to victory for both of these games?
I was going to talk about the rebounding, but since you just did, I'm going to go with win the turnover battle. Kennesaw State's giving up 13.4 turnovers a game. Missouri State's throwing the ball away 11.4 times a game. So, and I think we're still averaging like 10.6. So, if we can continue winning that gives us more chances of shooting the ball, maybe getting in there and getting a layup plus a foul and one. So definitely take good care of the ball, and I think that's going to lead us to victory.
Yeah, same for mine. I think the turnover battle, we've done a good job this season, keeping a low number of turnovers, taking care of the ball, valuing the ball. And I think with Terry on back and playing, 15, 18, whatever minutes a game he's going to get for this homestand, I think that's going to be even more crucial. And I think, he is a really solid piece at our point guard, taking care of the ball, conducting the offense. Just not as loose a cannon as Armello is, and probably a little bit more steady a hand than what Teagan is when we were asking those guys to bring the ball up the court and run the offense. So I think we have to take care of the ball. You can't just, you lose a lot of momentum when you start having those live ball turnovers that go the other way and turn into points off of turnovers. So, yeah, I think the turnover battle, just as important as the rebound battles, really could come down and help decide a victory for either or of these games. So, give me that turnover battle as well. It's going to be very important. Tyler, who have you got for your MVT, your most valuable topper for these two games?
I feel like Teagan Moore is going to do big things, and he's going to play great. But I think this time I'm going to give it to Armello Boone. He's really been impressed me last few weeks, actually all season. I remember he had one huge putback slam dunk, in the UTEP game. He almost had double-double. He had 14 rebounds. I think he only had 9 points. But you look at the New Mexico State, which was a pretty tough game. He had 14 points and 9 rebounds. So, I'm expecting him to bring the defense the with these two games at least. I know probably for the rest of the season, but I'm gonna give a tip of the hat to Armello Boone this week.
Yeah, I'm not going with Armello, but I do want to say Armello got robbed of the Freshman of the Week award. Should have been the fifth time he's won that award. But they gave it to I can't even remember what team he came from. But man, Armello averaged, like 11 points and 13 rebounds in 2 games last year, and they gave it to a guy that averaged 12 points and 5 rebounds in 2 games. Again, give me Armello Boone all day, every day, twice on Sunday, especially twice on Saturday when he's hopefully helping lead us to a couple of victories here. But I'm gonna go with Tegan Moore. He's been the known entity, the guy we can depend on. He can get tough buckets. He's stepping out and making some threes now. Getting to the free throw line, he's Mr. Dependable there. Always knocks down the free throws. So I think Tegan coming back home after not having his best games on the road. I think it was like a 6-point outing at New Mexico State. Just had a rough game, and both of those teams were really aggressive and really physical defensively. I think Tegan's going to come back home and lead us to a couple solid victories. So give me Tegan Moore. All right, Tyler, give me your score predictions for both Missouri State and Kennesaw State. What do you got and who you got winning?
All right, so in the Missouri State game, I got Tops win 76-62. Good 14 pluser there. So if you're betting the spread, Tops gonna cover. Kennesaw State, I feel like our defense is going to come in clutch here. We're going to hold them to below their average. We're going to score 85. They're going to score 77.
All right, couple wins. I like that. Let's keep that going. We need the home wins. We have to defend Diddle going forward in Conference USA play. I'm looking at the Missouri State game. I think we're going to score 81 and we're going to hold them to 75, which, if I recall correctly, I think that's about both of our season averages on what we're scoring per game. And I think it's going to play out about like that, 81 to 75. Not quite hitting the spread as it opened at 6.5. But at 6, I still will take that victory. And then the Kennesaw State game, man. I think this is going to be a game of two teams that are just trying to outgun each other. And hopefully Kennesaw State doesn't get hot. But man, there's going to be two teams flying up and down the court at a breakneck pace. Thankfully, we're built for that. We have a lot of depth. Murdix is back. Armello, Tegan. Obviously, Simona's been out for a couple games now, but I think we have all the horses that we can run with them. But we're going to have to play a good game. But I see us getting a victory, 84-80. I think it's going to be high scoring, and I'm looking forward to it. It should be a good one, and hopefully both of us are correct and we have that 2-0 home stand, and then look forward to the following week where we have Liberty at home again for a third straight home game. And I think we go to FIU or Sam Hugh. I forget who it is after that, but we'll look forward to that next week as we continue on with our basketball coverage. But man, really looking forward to it, man. There's been a lot going on as far as the football transfer portal. I really can't wait to break that down and talk about all the pieces that we've added. Can't celebrate those guys without talking about the guys that have left. We wish them well at their new destinations. We'll talk about them again next week when the portal's closed and we have a little bit more finality and some closure there with guys that will probably be committing within the next week or so. But basketball season is upon us. Tennis is starting soon. Track and field has obviously started. Golf. I saw a golf graphic out recently, so golf will be starting. So baseball and softball are both less than a month away. So, you got the spring sports kind of all waking up and getting ready to start playing while we're right in the middle of basketball season and looking at the football off season, just all the portal moves, coaching moves, and just everything that comes with the off season and just how crazy it is. But looking forward to covering it all. Looking forward to being back in Diddle Arena Wednesday night and Saturday for that afternoon game. Obviously, Tyler, I hope you're there as well. I haven't asked if you're going to be there, but really looking forward to being back in Diddle, watching this team live, and hopefully cheering them on to a couple victories, man. Tyler, hit us with your final words and take us on out of here.
Yeah, hopefully a lot of the fans show up to this homestand. You got a great game on Wednesday, and then you turn around and Saturday, I don't know what the temperature's going to be like. Don't know what the road conditions going to be like. I bet there's probably not going to be no snow or ice. Watch us come with the blizzard of the century after I say that. But I hope everybody's able to come out and enjoy the Tops at home, because these guys sure do deserve um, your presence at Diddle. Diddle's a heck of a place to be if you ain't never been there in person. If when the crowd gets into it, the place turns into magic. It's awesome. And these guys really appreciate you being there. Like I said, no one wants to play in a gym in an empty gym. Everybody wants to have that home court advantage, home field advantage. So hope everybody comes out, bring a friend, bring your family, bring your kids, everybody, and just have some fun with it. But I'm looking forward to that episode next week where we talk about transfer portal, because I'm sure, like a lot of people out there, my mind's been thinking about it. Thinking about who we losing, who we gaining, trying to figure up some information on players like that. So it should be a good one. But with that, I will say, finish it off with Moff. Who has it better than us?
Hey, nobody, but you know it.
Go Tops, y'all.
Go Tops. Later, guys.
See y'all.